I fixed the bit sign for what feels like the 20th time. It keeps breaking. I don't intend for that to be a recurring gag. It just happens. Does Ness keep breaking the bit sign? She keeps sabotaging it every time. You know, like when I'm trying to set up and go live, she fucking comes down all the way down here, and she goes like, la 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 la, and then she retreats back up to the couch where she hangs out, and then when I blink the sign, the thing comes unplugged. I'm like, God damn it! You keep forgetting my right eye is the one I can't see out of. I got when I was a kid. The story behind that is actually, it's kind of funny, but it also sucks. When I was a kid, I was jumping on my parents' bed, or my bed. I was jumping on a bed or a couch, and I was told and warned not to do that. But I kept doing it because I was a fucking toddler, and I was a piece of shit. And, you know that song about the monkeys jumping on the bed, and then one falls off and bumps his head? That's based on a true story. It's based on me. Because I fell off the bed, and I hit my head on a coffee table, and which is why if I try to raise my eyebrows, you can't really tell, but there's a little dimple right here, because I hit my head right here on my temple. I'm surprised it didn't just fucking kill me outright. But basically what happened is that I have like partial facial paralysis on my right side, mostly kind of up in this like top part of my head. And there's some weird scar tissue that formed in the back of my eye that my vision has gotten progressively worse as I've gotten older. I first became aware of it when I got my driving license when I was 16. And when you're between 15 and 21 years old, you have to get it renewed every single year at the DMV. At least you do in Texas. So every year, I would have to go back to the DMV, fill out the paperwork, do the vision test, take a picture, all that stuff like that. And between my 16th and 17th birthdays, my vision in my right eye had gotten blurry, and I couldn't pass the vision test. So they said, you need to get a pair of glasses and come back because we're not going to renew your license. So I did that. I got a pair of glasses, went back, passed the vision test. It was fine. Turned 21. 20. It's when you turn 20 that you don't have to get it renewed anymore. So I turned 20, they renewed it, and then after your 20th birthday, you don't have to go back for another 10 years. So I didn't go back till I was 30. And right before my license was up for renewal, I noticed that the vision in my right eye was distorted. Like I would look at like a graph and the lines wouldn't be straight. And I'm like, uh-oh. And it turns out that the injury I sustained turned into macular degeneration, which is not preventable, treatable, or reversible at all. So I eventually went blind in one eye, legally blind, to the point where, you know, people say 20/20 vision, yada, yada, yada. This is 0. They can't give it a number. But what's weird is that the vision test at the DMV has changed in the time since before I went. I was afraid I wasn't going to be able to pass. I'm like, fuck, glasses ain't going to fix that. But it turns out nowadays, when you look inside the little viewer thing, it shows you 3 columns of numbers. The left and the right columns are only visible to your left and right eyes, and then the one in the middle is visible to both. And they told me all I have to do is read 2 columns of numbers. And I told the person, like, I was honest with them at the DMV. I'm like, look, I got vision problems in my right eye. I'm concerned I won't be able to pass the test. And she was like, well, let's just, you take the test and we'll see, right? So I looked at it, and she just said, read any 2 columns of numbers. And I told her, I only see 2 columns of numbers. And she kind of gave me this weird look like, oh, this motherfucker ain't lying. He's blind as shit in one eye. Because it looks like it wasn't even there. Like, it wasn't just like a blurry column of numbers. It was like the column did not exist, period. So I read the 2 columns of numbers. They renewed my license. I feel like that's not a good thing. I'm not going to complain. But if I'm blind in one eye, it means I no longer have depth perception, which is the reason why soldering and shit like this is really hard for me to do. I feel like at some point I'm going to cause a vehicular accident. I'm going to bump into somebody in a parking lot because I can't see where they are relative to where I am. And it's, yeah. So it sucks because not being able to see out of one eye really, it limits a lot of things that people would normally be willing to hire you to do. Like I work in construction. I'm not permitted to drive any company vehicles because if there's an accident, the fact that the driver of the company vehicle was blind in one eye is like a blank check to an ambulance chaser, right? They don't even have to build a defense case to go to court with it. They can just be like, this dude can't see out of one eye. And I'm over here, like, in the fucking defendant's thing with the fucking suit. I'm like, I mean, he's right. Boom. We award $23 million to the plaintiff for wrongful death. I'm like, oh, sorry, guys. I couldn't help it. Maybe you shouldn't have let me drive the truck. And I cannot use any power tools, because that's a liability. Like, if I fucking cut my thumb off with the table saw or whatever, you know, that's gonna be on them. That's all workers' comp and shit. So it's really weird. Like, there's a whole section of, like, work that I literally cannot safely do anymore. It's very scary, which is why I've resorted to telling jokes on Twitch. So I'm glad you guys are here supporting me. I need all the help I can get.